The vast mapping array of the Nexus Consortium hummed with quiet efficiency, its trillion-point sensory network scanning the cosmic expanse. Researcher Vexara, a senior xenogeographer with 3 centuries of galactic exploration experience, barely registered the initial ping on her holographic display. Thousands of planetary signatures crossed her screens daily, each a potential resource for the expanding stellar network of civilizations that comprise the consortium. But this signal was different. At first, it appeared as a subtle disruption, an electromagnetic whisper that didn't conform to any standard planetary classification. Most researchers would have dismissed it as background cosmic noise, but Vexara had built her reputation on curiosity. Her neural interface zoomed in, filtering out standard interference patterns, revealing something extraordinary. The planet, third from a yellow-white star in an unremarkable spiral arm, pulsed with an irregular energy signature that defied conventional understanding. Unlike the predictable energy networks of most technological civilizations, this world's electromagnetic field seemed to dance with a chaotic, almost living intelligence. Organic systems intertwined with technological broadcasts in a complex symphony that both fascinated and perplexed the experienced researcher. "Preliminary scan complete," chirped her research assistant, a young analysis drone named Crix. "Anomalies detected in planetary communication networks. Recommendation: further investigation required." Vexara leaned closer to the holographic projection. The planet's surface revealed a mosaic of diverse terrains, blue oceans, green landscapes, sprawling urban centers, and complex infrastructure that seemed to breathe and pulse with an underlying rhythm. Traditional consortium scanning protocols struggled to categorize the information streaming from this world. Most intriguing were the communication networks. Unlike the rigid, mathematically precise transmission systems of known advanced civilizations, this planet's information exchange appeared wonderfully chaotic. Multiple frequencies overlapped, data streams branched and reconnected in patterns that suggested not just intelligence, but a kind of collective creativity that defied standard computational models. "Crix," Vexara called, her voice carrying a note of professional excitement. "Run a comprehensive cultural and technological assessment. Something about this planet is different." The analysis drone began processing, its quantum algorithms working to decode the complex signals. Within moments, preliminary reports started flooding the holographic display. Images of diverse beings, bipedal with remarkable variation in appearance, flickered across the screen. They seemed to communicate through multiple methods: verbal, language, digital networks, visual symbols, and intricate social interactions that suggested a level of complexity rarely seen in galactic civilizations. Technological development appeared uneven but surprisingly adaptive. In some regions, primitive combustion engines coexisted with advanced communication networks. Machines and organic beings seemed to interact in a symbiotic dance that challenged traditional understanding of technological progression. "Preliminary classification impossible," Crix reported. "Civilization demonstrates non-linear technological development. Communication systems show unprecedented adaptability." Vexara's experienced mind began to construct hypotheses. Most consortium encounters followed predictable patterns. A civilization would develop, reach a technological plateau, and either join the galactic community or be carefully managed. This planet suggested something entirely different, a living system of information and technology that seemed to evolve in real time. The planet's designation appeared on her primary interface: Earth. A simple name for what was becoming an increasingly complex subject of study. "Prepare a comprehensive research packet," Vexara instructed Crix. "We'll need a dedicated observation team. This Earth requires direct investigation." Little did Vexara know that her routine mapping expedition was about to become the most significant first contact scenario in consortium history. The planet that appeared so innocuous would soon challenge everything they understood about intelligent life, technological development, and the very nature of survival. Something was different about Earth, and the Nexus Consortium was about to find out exactly how different. The Nexus Consortium's advanced scout ship, Luminous Horizon, dropped out of faster-than-light transit precisely 500,000 kilometers from Earth's orbit. Captain Zaralin reviewed the preliminary reports from the research team, her multifaceted eyes narrowing with a mixture of professional curiosity and calculated precision. "Transmission protocols," she commanded. "Initiate first contact sequence." A complex array of communication signals erupted from the ship's advanced communication arrays. These were carefully crafted messages designed to establish peaceful contact with countless civilizations across the galaxy. Each transmission contained layers of mathematical proofs, universal scientific constants, and diplomatic overtures that had successfully initiated interactions with hundreds of planetary societies. Earth's response was anything but typical. The first indication of trouble came within milliseconds. Instead of a unified governmental response, the ship's communication systems were bombarded by thousands of simultaneous signals. Radio broadcasts, digital networks, satellite communications, and even primitive wireless technologies seemed to overlap and intersect in a chaotic symphony of noise. "Analysis," Captain Zaralin demanded. Her communication specialist, a neural-linked specialist named Kren, looked perplexed. "Multiple response channels detected. No single authoritative communication source. Linguistic databases struggling to categorize incoming transmissions." What should have been a straightforward first contact became an incomprehensible flood of information. Internet memes mixed with scientific research papers. Social media posts appeared alongside diplomatic communiques. News broadcasts competed with entertainment channels and personal communication streams. Most shocking was the content of these transmissions. Where most civilizations would respond with careful diplomatic language, humans seemed to react with an unprecedented mix of excitement, skepticism, humor, and genuine curiosity. Some transmission channels broadcast theories about alien contact, while others argued about the potential implications. Some simply shared memes, mocking the very possibility of alien arrival. "They're not following any standard first contact. In protocol," Kren muttered, his neural interfaces working overtime to process the information. A particularly unusual transmission caught the ship's attention. It was a video clip from a social media platform, showing a group of humans gathered around a computer screen. Instead of fear or panic, they appeared to be laughing and making jokes about the alien arrival. One human was drawing a comedic sketch of what they imagined the aliens might look like. Captain Zaralin found herself in uncharted territory. The Nexus Consortium's extensive first contact database contained thousands of scenarios, but nothing prepared them for this level of unpredictability. "Prepare. Secondary communication attempt," she ordered. "We need to establish clear communication channels." The ship's advanced translation algorithms worked frantically, attempting to decode the massive influx of information. Each attempt revealed new layers of complexity. Human languages were not just diverse, they were constantly evolving. Slang, cultural references, and contextual nuances created a communication matrix that defied standard computational models. Suddenly, another wave of transmissions hit the ship's systems. This time, they were technical in nature. Amateur astronomers, scientific research stations, and private technology enthusiasts were actively tracking the alien vessel. Detailed orbital calculations, spectroscopic analyses, and improvised tracking systems began streaming in from various points on the planet. "They're not just receiving," Kren reported. "They're actively analyzing our presence." The scout ship's stealth systems, designed to be undetectable to most planetary civilizations, seemed almost comically ineffective. Humans were not just observing. They were actively engaging with the unknown. As the luminous horizon continued its observation, Captain Zaralin made a decision that would alter the course of their mission. This was not going to be a standard planetary assessment. Earth represented something entirely different, a civilization that refused to be categorized, a planet that responded to the unknown with a combination of scientific curiosity, cultural creativity, and an inexplicable sense of humor. "Adjust mission parameters," she finally commanded. "We need a completely new approach to understanding this planet." Little did they know, this was just the beginning of humanity's most unexpected first contact scenario. The Nexus Consortium's Tactical Command reviewed the initial invasion protocols with mechanical precision. Their standard planetary acquisition strategy had worked flawlessly across hundreds of worlds. A three-phase approach would typically neutralize any planetary resistance within standard galactic standard time of 72 hours. Phase 1, electromagnetic disruption. Phase 2, critical infrastructure targeting. Phase 3, governmental collapse and resource extraction. Admiral Karex watched the first wave of attack drones launch from the luminous horizon. Their sleek forms carried weapons that had reduced countless civilizations to submission, quantum disruptors capable of instantly shorting out electronic systems, gravitational manipulators that could collapse entire city infrastructures, precision energy weapons that could obliterate military installations with surgical accuracy. The first strike targeted major communication and power infrastructure across the planet. Massive electromagnetic pulses should have instantly crippled Earth's technological capabilities. Instead, something unprecedented happened. Within moments of the initial attack, the targeted systems began to adapt. Communication networks that should have collapsed instead rerouted through alternative channels. Power grids that should have been permanently disabled began drawing energy from unexpected sources. Military communication systems switched to backup networks with impossible speed. "Impossible," muttered the lead tactical analyst. "Their system resilience exceeds all known technological adaptation matrices." Cellular networks transformed into emergency communication platforms. Amateur radio operators became critical information relays. Satellite systems that were partially disabled quickly reconfigured themselves, using damaged components to maintain partial functionality. In major cities, research laboratories and technology centers became impromptu defense coordination points. Universities transformed into rapid response centers. Private technology companies began developing countermeasures faster than the consortium could update their attack protocols. A group of university researchers in Tokyo developed a signal interference method that temporarily neutralized the quantum disruptors. Silicon Valley technology companies began creating adaptive network protection algorithms within hours of the initial attack. European research centers started developing electromagnetic shielding technologies that could protect critical infrastructure. The consortium's invasion AI began to show signs of computational stress. Every predictive model failed. Humans were not following any standard resistance pattern. They did not concentrate on a single defensive strategy, but instead implemented multiple, constantly changing approaches. Military responses were equally unconventional. Instead of centralized command structures, local military and civilian defense units began coordinating through improvised communication networks. Drone technology, commercial communication satellites, and even personal communication devices became part of a living, breathing defensive network. Their technological ecosystem is more like a biological system the tactical analyst reported to Admiral Karex. It adapts, it self-repairs, it evolves in real time. Agricultural systems began supporting defense efforts. Farmers used their equipment and communication networks to provide ground-level intelligence. Transportation infrastructure became alternative communication and supply routes. Even entertainment and social media platforms transformed into critical information exchange systems. The consortium had encountered resistance before, but this was different. Earth was not just defending itself, it was actively transforming the very nature of conflict. Quantum computational models began to fail. The invasion AI struggled to predict human responses. Each successful defensive action created new technological innovations. What should have been a straightforward planetary acquisition was becoming an increasingly complex challenge. Admiral Karex watched the tactical display with growing concern. The pristine invasion strategy was unraveling in ways no galactic civilization had ever witnessed. Humans were not just resisting, they were turning the invasion into an opportunity for technological and social innovation. Adjust invasion parameters, the Admiral finally commanded. We are dealing with something entirely unprecedented. The Nexus Consortium was about to learn that Earth was not a planet to be conquered. It was a living, breathing system of innovation, resilience, and unexpected potential. Dr. Elena Rodriguez sat in the hastily established Global Coordination Center, her fingers dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. Around her, a diverse team of researchers, military strategists, technologists, and communication experts worked with an energy that defied the gravity of the alien invasion. The room buzzed with a controlled chaos that would have seemed impossible just days earlier. International boundaries had dissolved. Competing technologies now worked in seamless harmony. Military personnel collaborated with software engineers. Journalists worked alongside cryptography experts. Social media analysts sat next to quantum physicists. Incoming data stream, called out a young network specialist. Multiple global communication platforms synchronizing. What the Nexus Consortium didn't understand was how humans transformed information into a weapon more powerful than any physical technology. Social media became an intelligence-gathering network. Crowdsourced information platforms tracked alien ship movements with unprecedented accuracy. Amateur astronomers, technology enthusiasts, and citizen scientists became an impromptu global defense network. A teenager in Brazil discovered a pattern in alien communication frequencies. A retired engineer in Japan developed a signal interference algorithm. A group of university students in Kenya created a distributed computing project to analyze alien technological signatures. Each contribution, no matter how small, became part of a larger living defense system. The invasion's primary weakness was its rigid technological approach. Humans operated on an entirely different principle. Where the Nexus Consortium expected linear responses, they encountered a network of creativity that constantly shifted and adapted. Memes became psychological warfare. Humor became a defense mechanism. Information sharing happened at speeds the alien systems could not comprehend. Every attempt to disrupt human communication only made the networks more resilient. They're trying to isolate our communication networks, Elena observed, watching the global data flows. But we're treating communication like a living organism, not a fixed infrastructure. Satellite networks originally designed for communication, entertainment, and research now became critical defense platforms. Commercial communication technologies proved more adaptable than military-grade systems. The very technologies that seemed frivolous became the planet's most effective defensive tools. Language itself became a weapon. Translation algorithms worked overtime, breaking down the alien communication attempts. Linguistic experts from around The world collaborated in real time, decoding and understanding the invaders' communication methods faster than the Nexus Consortium could adjust their strategies. Global neural network is stabilizing, reported a data analyst. We're learning their communication patterns faster than they can change them. Social media platforms transformed into real-time intelligence gathering systems. People shared alien ship sightings, technological observations, and defensive strategies with a speed and breadth that overwhelmed the invaders' computational models. What should have been chaotic became a precisely coordinated global response. The Nexus Consortium's Invasion AI began to show signs of computational stress. Each attempt to disrupt human communication created new communication pathways. Universities became research centers. Makerspaces transformed into technology development hubs. Private companies collaborated with government research facilities. In ways that defied traditional organizational structures, Elena watched a real-time visualization of global information flow. It looked less like a structured network and more like a living, breathing ecosystem. Communication channels constantly rerouted, merged and separated. Information moved like a fluid, adapting to any attempt to block or control it. "They don't understand," she whispered to herself. "We're not just sharing information, we're creating a collective intelligence." The invasion was no longer just a military conflict. It had become a battle of information, creativity, and human potential. The Nexus Consortium was discovering that Earth was not a planet to be conquered. It was a living, adaptive intelligence that transformed every challenge into an opportunity for growth, and they were just getting started. The research facility emerged from an abandoned semiconductor factory on the outskirts of Austin, Texas. What had once been a mundane industrial complex now hummed with an energy that would have shocked the Nexus Consortium's most advanced scientists. Dr. Amir Khan stood before a holographic display, surrounded by a team that defied traditional disciplinary boundaries. Physicists worked alongside materials scientists. Software engineers collaborated with quantum computing specialists. Biotech researchers shared insights with aerospace engineers. "Preliminary analysis complete," announced Dr. Maria Santos, her fingers tracing complex molecular structures on the interactive display. "We've extracted preliminary data from the alien communication arrays captured during the last defensive engagement." The captured alien technology was nothing like human researchers had ever encountered. Quantum processing, units that operated on principles seemingly impossible by current scientific understanding. Communication systems that blended biological and technological components in ways that challenged fundamental assumptions about information transfer. Most research teams would have approached the alien technology with caution. This team saw an opportunity. Within hours of acquiring the first alien technological components, the research team began dismantling and analyzing every microscopic detail. Where traditional scientific methods would take months, this group worked with a collaborative intensity that bordered on collective genius. A young engineer named Kai discovered that the alien quantum processors could be partially integrated with existing human semiconductor technologies. What should have been incompatible systems began to show unexpected synergies. The team wasn't just studying the alien technology, they were actively reimagining technological possibilities. "Look at this," Kai called out, projecting a complex molecular interaction map. "The quantum communication arrays can be partially adapted to our existing network infrastructures." Dr. Khan watched with a mixture of professional excitement and scientific caution. The technology before them represented more than a defensive opportunity. It was a potential leap in human technological understanding that could transform multiple scientific disciplines. biological computing interfaces that the aliens considered standard technology became research breakthroughs for the human team. Communication systems that the Nexus Consortium took for granted became revolutionary concepts for human scientists. The research facility operated on a principle the aliens could not comprehend: collaborative innovation without hierarchical limitations. Junior researchers could challenge senior scientists. Insights came from unexpected sources. Every team member was both a student and a potential innovator. Parallel research teams around the world began sharing discoveries in real time. A breakthrough in one facility would be analyzed, adapted, and potentially improved by teams on different continents within hours. The global research network moved faster than any centralized research system. Preliminary adaptive interface complete, Dr. Santos reported. A holographic representation showed how human technological systems could now partially integrate with alien communication technologies. The Nexus Consortium's technological advantage was rapidly dissolving. Each piece of captured technology became a learning opportunity. Each defensive engagement provided new insights. The humans were not just defending themselves, they were actively transforming the very nature of technological understanding. Quantum computing principles that had seemed theoretical became practical applications. Biological computing interfaces moved from scientific speculation to functional prototypes. Communication technologies that blended organic and inorganic systems began to take shape. Dr. Khan looked at the team, a diverse group of researchers who represented a global scientific collaboration. They weren't just defending their planet, they were rewriting the fundamental understanding of technology, communication, and innovation. "We're not just studying their technology," he told the team. "We're creating something entirely new." The Nexus Consortium had come to conquer a planet. Instead, they had triggered a technological renaissance that would reshape humanity's understanding of its place in the universe, and they had no idea what was coming next. The Global Defense Coordination Center operated with a rhythm that would have been impossible just weeks earlier. Military commanders from different nations worked alongside civilian researchers, technology experts, and communication specialists. Traditional hierarchies had dissolved, replaced by a fluid, adaptive approach to planetary defense. Admiral Rebecca Jen studied the holographic display, watching the intricate dance of human and captured alien technologies. The initial invasion had become something entirely unexpected, a global transformation that went far beyond simple resistance. Incoming data stream, called a young communication specialist. Adaptive network protocol online. What the Nexus Consortium failed to understand was the fundamental nature of human potential. Each attack became an opportunity for innovation. Each technological challenge transformed into a breakthrough. The invasion was no longer a threat, it had become a catalyst for human evolution. Satellite networks originally designed for communication, and research now served as a planetary defense grid. Commercial drone technologies adapted for reconnaissance and defensive operations. Private space companies developed improvised defense platforms faster than traditional military contractors. Good respond. A team in Mumbai developed a communication jamming system using modified smartphone technologies. Researchers in Seoul created adaptive electromagnetic shielding using recycled electronic components. A group of university students in São Paulo designed a distributed computing network that could predict and counter alien technological attacks. The Nexus Consortium's invasion strategies began to unravel. Their computational models, designed to predict and neutralize planetary resistance, failed repeatedly. Humans did not follow any standard resistance pattern. They did not concentrate defenses in predictable locations. Instead, they transformed every system, every network, every piece of technology into a potential defensive tool. They're treating the entire planet like a living adaptive system, observed Dr. Elena Rodriguez, watching the Global Defense Coordination. Not a static set of resources to be conquered. Space became a critical battlefield. Commercial satellite networks transformed into early warning systems. Amateur astronomers provided critical intelligence about alien fleet movements. Private space companies developed improvised defensive platforms that complemented traditional military technologies. The invasion had triggered a global unity that transcended previous political and cultural boundaries. Nations that had been historical rivals now worked with unprecedented cooperation. Technology companies shared research freely. Military organizations collaborated across traditional lines of division. Admiral Chen watched a real-time visualization of global defensive capabilities. It looked less like a traditional military strategy and more like a living, breathing ecosystem. Defense systems constantly adapted, rerouted, and transformed. Each alien attack created new defensive innovations. Adaptive response protocol activated, reported a young tactical analyst. Defensive networks are self-organizing. The Nexus Consortium had approached Earth with the assumption of technological superiority. They were discovering something far more dangerous, a species that could transform any challenge into an opportunity for growth and innovation. Quantum computing centers became defensive coordination points. Artificial intelligence systems developed adaptive response protocols that confused and overwhelmed the alien invasion algorithms. What should have been a simple planetary conquest had become a complex, unpredictable conflict. "We're not just defending," Admiral Chen told her team. "We're learning, we're growing." The global defense network operated on principles that defied traditional military understanding. Information flowed like a living current. Technologies adapted in real time. Every citizen became a potential contributor to planetary defense. Teenager in Kenya developed a communication encryption method. A retired engineer in Japan created an electromagnetic interference technique. A group of university students designed an adaptive drone defense network. Each contribution, no matter how small, became part of a larger, more complex defensive system. The Nexus Consortium was about to learn a critical lesson about humanity. This was not a planet waiting to be conquered. This was a living, adaptive, collective intelligence that could transform any challenge into an opportunity for growth, and they had no idea what was coming next. The central command chamber of the luminous horizon grew silent as the invasion strategies continued to unravel. Admiral Karex watched the holographic displays with growing disbelief. Every computational model, every strategic projection, every invasion protocol had failed spectacularly. "Analyze," the Admiral demanded, though the word came out more like a plea than a command. The primary tactical AI struggled to process the data. Humans had not just resisted the invasion, they had transformed it into something entirely unrecognizable. Planetary defense was no longer a static concept. It was a living, breathing, constantly evolving system that defied all known galactic strategic models. Communication specialist Kren reviewed the latest intercepted transmissions. What should have been signals of defeat were instead broadcasts of unprecedented creativity. Scientific discoveries emerged from the conflict. Technological innovations appeared faster than the invasion force could adapt. Each attack became an opportunity for human growth. "They're not just defending," Kren reported, "they're evolving." The Nexus Consortium had conquered hundreds of planets. Their invasion strategies were considered the most advanced in the known galaxy. Civilizations typically followed predictable patterns of resistance. Initial shock would give way to negotiation or submission. Technological superiority always prevailed. Earth was different. Cities that should have been destroyed, rebuilt. themselves with impossible speed. Communication networks that should have collapsed became more robust. Military and civilian systems merged into adaptive defense platforms that confused all standard invasion protocols. Agricultural systems supported defensive efforts. Educational institutions became research centers. Entertainment technologies transformed into communication networks. Every aspect of human society became part of a collective defensive strategy. Computational stress increasing, reported the ship's primary AI system. The alien technologies that had conquered countless civilizations were being systematically understood, adapted, and reimagined by human researchers. Admiral Kar-Rex reviewed the invasion timeline. What should have been a standard 72-hour planetary acquisition had stretched into weeks of continuous adaptation. Humans did not fight like any known species in the Galactic database. They did not concentrate defenses in predictable locations. They did not have a centralized command structure. They transformed every challenge into an opportunity for innovation. Military, scientific, and civilian systems worked with a level of coordination that defied traditional understanding. A breakthrough in one research facility would be analyzed, adapted, and improved by teams on different continents within hours. Global cooperation replaced traditional competitive models. What should have been a weakness became their greatest strength. The invasion had triggered a planetary transformation. Nations that had been historical rivals now worked with unprecedented cooperation. Technology companies shared research freely. Scientific discoveries emerged from the most unexpected sources. We are encountering a species that does not understand the concept of defeat, Kren observed, analyzing the latest communication patterns. Captured alien technologies became learning opportunities. Each defensive engagement provided new insights. Humans were not just defending themselves, they were actively expanding their technological and collective understanding. The Luminous Horizon systems began to show signs of systemic failure, not from direct attacks, but from the constant, unpredictable adaptations of human defensive technologies. Quantum computing systems developed adaptive responses that confused the alien invasion algorithms. Admiral Kar-Rex realized the true nature of the challenge. This was not a simple planetary conquest. This was a confrontation with a species that could transform any challenge into an opportunity for growth. "Reassess invasion parameters," the Admiral finally commanded. The words felt like an admission of something far more significant than a military defeat. The Nexus Consortium had come to conquer a planet. Instead, they had triggered a planetary awakening that would reshape their understanding of intelligent life. Humanity was not a civilization to be conquered. It was a living, adaptive intelligence that could transform any challenge into an opportunity for collective growth, and they had no idea what was coming next. The final confrontation began not with a massive military engagement, but with a moment of profound understanding. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in the Global Coordination Center, watching as the Nexus Consortium's primary communication channels began to shift. Something fundamental was changing. The alien fleet, which had once represented an overwhelming technological threat, now appeared uncertain. Their invasion strategy had transformed from a calculated conquest to a desperate attempt to comprehend what they were experiencing. "Incoming transmission," called a communication specialist. "They're requesting dialogue?" The global response. Team assembled quickly. Representatives from scientific research, diplomatic corps, military strategy, and technological innovation gathered in a room that represented the most diverse collaborative effort in human history. Admiral Rebecca Chen reviewed the preliminary communication protocols. The aliens were not surrendering. They were attempting to understand. Vexara, the original researcher who had first discovered Earth, now found herself in the most unexpected position. The routine mapping expedition had become something far more significant. Her neural interfaces struggled to process the complex information streams emerging from the planet. The human response was anything but conventional. Instead of military posturing or aggressive rhetoric, they proposed a comprehensive exchange of knowledge, scientific discoveries, technological insights, cultural understanding. "We're not just defending," Dr. Rodriguez explained to the assembled team. "We're demonstrating who we are." The Nexus Consortium had approached Earth with the assumption of technological superiority. They were discovering a civilization that viewed challenges as opportunities for growth. Every attack had been transformed into a learning experience. Every technological confrontation had resulted in unexpected innovations. Quantum computing, centers that emerged from the conflict, now represented breakthroughs in computational understanding. Adaptive communication networks developed during the invasion became models of global cooperation. Technologies created under pressure transformed multiple scientific disciplines. The alien fleet began to understand that they had not encountered a simple planetary civilization. They had discovered a living, adaptive intelligence that could transform any challenge into an opportunity for collective growth. "They're analyzing our response as a unified system," observed Dr. Amir Khan, reviewing the communication patterns, not as individual nations or separate technological systems, but as a collective intelligence. The final communication from the Nexus Consortium was nothing like a surrender. It was a request for understanding. How could a civilization respond to invasion with such remarkable creativity? How could a species transform a potentially devastating conflict into an opportunity for collective growth? Humanity's response would echo through galactic communication networks for generations. The invasion had triggered a planetary transformation that went far beyond simple resistance. Traditional boundaries between scientific disciplines had dissolved. Military, civilian, and research systems had merged into a collaborative network that defied traditional understanding. "We are not just surviving," Admiral Chen stated to the global team. "We are demonstrating the true potential of collective intelligence." The luminous horizon, once a symbol of potential planetary conquest, now represented something entirely different. A moment of first contact that would reshape understanding of intelligent life in the galaxy. Vexara realized that her initial mapping expedition had discovered something far more significant than a potential resource planet. Earth represented a new model of intelligent life, a civilization that could transform challenges into opportunities for collective growth. The final transmission from Earth was simple yet profound. An invitation to dialogue, a demonstration of the technologies developed during the conflict, a showcase of how a unified planetary intelligence could respond to the unknown. The Nexus Consortium had come to conquer. Instead, they had discovered a civilization that could turn invasion into innovation, a species that did not just survive, but grew stronger through challenge, and the galaxy would never be the same.